Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well. When we think of an expedition vessel trapped in ice, most of us think of Shackleton's legendary ship, Endurance. But what if I told you there was another vessel that faced a strikingly similar fate? Her name was the SS Chelyuskin, a Soviet steamship, specially reinforced to cut through the polar ice. In 1934, during a daring journey along the northern maritime route from Murmansk to Vladivostok, she became icebound in the frozen Arctic and eventually sank beneath the crushing ice. 111 people were on board, and in a dramatic twist, all but one were rescued by air in one of the most daring Arctic rescues ever attempted. The expedition's goal: to prove that it was possible to navigate the northern route without an icebreaker, all within a single season. Hello everybody, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines. Join me as we dive into the incredible story of the SS Chelyuskin, from her construction to her fateful expedition, and finally, to her tragic end beneath the icy waters. I'm really excited to share this story with you all. If you're excited too, don't forget to leave a like so we can help spread this amazing piece of maritime history to as many people as possible. The vessel would come under the ownership of the Soviet commercial fleet and be constructed by the Danish shipbuilding company Burmeister and Wain, located in Copenhagen, Denmark. Now, let's take a brief look at the vessel's specifications. Her tonnage would be 7,500 tons, with her length being 310.2 feet, which is 94.5 meters. Her beam would be 54.3 feet, which is 16.6 meters, and her top speed would be 12 knots. This ship would be named the SS Chelyuskin. She would be launched on March 11th, 1933, with her maiden voyage taking place on May 6th, 1933. And now we shall move on to the expedition. The head of the expedition was Otto Julievich Schmidt, with the ship's captain being Voronin. Now, when we talk about Otto Julievich Schmidt, we're speaking of a true polymath, a scientist, mathematician, geographer, astronomer, Arctic explorer, and even a conqueror of the Pamirs. He was often described as a walking encyclopedia, diving so deeply into each subject that he frequently became a pioneer. In mathematics, he contributed to the abstract theory of groups. In geophysics and astronomy, he explored theories surrounding the formation of the Earth, among many other achievements. During his Arctic expeditions, he even discovered previously unknown lands. However, his most renowned endeavor was undoubtedly the Chelyuskin expedition. The goal of the Chelyuskin expedition was to navigate the northern sea route within a single sailing season. This route was intended to support the delivery of supplies to Siberia and the Russian Far East. Additionally, the expedition aimed to demonstrate whether a non-ice-breaking vessel could successfully travel along the northern sea route. A year earlier, the Soviet icebreaker Alexander Sibiryakov successfully completed a voyage from Arkhangelsk to the Bering Strait. Following this achievement, the Soviet Union established the Glavsevmorput, the organization tasked with overseeing the development of the northern sea route. Its responsibilities included expanding the route, establishing settlements, and building infrastructure along its path. Otto Schmidt was appointed as the head of this ambitious organization. Before the expedition officially began, The ship sailed from Leningrad, which is now St. Petersburg, to Murmansk. There, all identified defects were repaired, and the final list of expedition members was confirmed. Otto Schmidt later reflected on this phase, writing,
"The selection of people is the most important part of any undertaking. This is especially true for expeditions, where individuals must work closely together for extended periods, and where replacing someone who proves unsuitable is simply not an option." In this expedition, the selection process was particularly challenging due to the large number of participants and the wide range of responsibilities involved.
Many members of the team had previously taken part in the Alexander Sibiryakov expedition. Others came from a wide range of backgrounds, including scientists, radio operators, business administrators, engineers, members of the press and arts community, whose presence Schmidt regarded as especially important, along with construction workers and cleaning staff. Schmidt later remarked,
"I actually believe it's entirely appropriate for women to take part in expeditions. However, when it comes to the physically demanding work of cleaning, I must admit I would generally prefer men." That said, the women performed their duties superbly.
On August 10th, 1933 at 4:30 a.m., the Chelyuskin quietly departed from the port of Murmansk, bound for Vladivostok. There was little ceremony, but the mission was significant. The plan called for icebreakers to assist the ship through the most treacherous sections of the route. On board were 53 crew members, 29 expedition personnel, 18 explorers destined to overwinter on Wrangel Island, and 12 construction workers. The Chelyuskin was heavily loaded with 2,995 tons of coal, 500 tons of water, and enough food for 18 months. She also carried supplies intended to sustain Wrangel Island for 3 years. Adding to the cargo were 26 cows and 4 piglets, which eventually grew into full-grown hogs during the expedition. These animals were intended to provide a fresh supply of meat throughout the journey. At first, the voyage progressed smoothly, with the Chelyuskin making steady headway along the planned route. However, trouble began soon after the ship entered the Kara Sea, a region notorious for its harsh conditions. The crew discovered a hull deformation and a small breach in the vessel. By August 13th, 1933, a leak had developed. There was serious discussion among the team about whether to turn back, but in the end, they made the bold decision to press forward with the expedition. Amid the challenges, there was a moment of joy. A baby girl was born to the family of Surveyor Vasiliev. In honor of her unusual birthplace, she was named Karina, after the Kara Sea. In September, while navigating through the East Siberian Sea, the Chelyuskin encountered heavy ice. The pressure from the ice caused 2 more dents, one on each side of the hull, and the leak worsened. Despite these setbacks, by early November 1933, the steamer had nearly completed her intended route, reaching the Bering Strait. On November 6th, a radiogram sent to Moscow reported that the Chelyuskin was near Diomede Island, just 20 kilometers from open water. The news spread quickly across the country, but in a dramatic turn, the Chelyuskin expedition fell short. The ship never reached free water or her final destination, Vladivostok. As the ice shifted, it trapped the Chelyuskin and pushed the already damaged vessel back into the Chukchi Sea. There, the ship became frozen into a massive ice floe, drifting helplessly for several months. The crew lived with the constant fear that the ice could suddenly shift again and crush the ship. Tragically, that's exactly what happened. By late November, concern was mounting that the Chelyuskin would never escape the ice. In response, rescue efforts began. Aircraft were dispatched from Vladivostok to Providence Bay, preparing for a possible evacuation. Pilots Lyapidevsky, Konkin, and Petrov began training for the dangerous task of rescuing people stranded amid the treacherous ice fields. On February 13, 1934, the Chelyuskin was located 144 miles from Cape Yulin and 155 miles from Cape Severny when the surrounding ice finally crushed the vessel. Within just 2 hours, the steamer sank beneath the ice. From the drifting ice camp, polar radio operator Ernst Krenkel sent a message to Moscow, reporting the loss of the Chelyuskin. A total of 104 people, including 10 women and 2 children, managed to reach the ice floe safely. Earlier, several members of the expedition had disembarked near Cape Chelyuskin for various reasons, most commonly due to illness. The last to leave the sinking ship were Captain Voronin and expedition leader Otto Schmidt, ensuring everyone else was evacuated first. Tragically, there was one casualty. Caretaker Boris Mogilevich was struck and killed by a falling barrel while still on deck. He was the only fatality of the expedition. The survivors set up camp on the drifting ice floe. On March 5th, after 29 daring rescue flights, Anatoly Lyapidevsky successfully airlifted the women and children to safety. However, the men had to endure more than 2 months on the ice before they were rescued in April. To facilitate their rescue, the crew constructed a makeshift airstrip on the ice using only a handful of tools, a few spades, ice shovels, and 2 crowbars. They had to rebuild the runway 13 times due to shifting ice and harsh conditions before the rescue planes could finally land. Once rescued, the men were flown to the coastal village of Vankarem. From there, some were transported further to the village of Uelen, while 53 others made the arduous journey on foot, trekking over 300 miles to reach safety. The pilots involved in the search and rescue operations were the first to be awarded the newly established title of Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest honor in the country. Among these brave aviators were Anatoly Lyapidevsky, Sigismund Levanevsky, who survived a crash en route to the ice camp, Vasily Molokov, Mavriky Slepnyov, Mikhail Vodopyanov, Nikolai Kamanin, and Ivan Doronin. Lyapidevsky piloted an ANT-4, the civilian version of the TB-1 heavy bomber. Slepnyov and Levanevsky flew a consolidated Fleetster, an aircraft specially brought from the United States for the mission. The other pilots flew Polikarpov R-5 planes. In addition, 2 American air mechanics, Clyde Goodwin Armitstead and William Latimer Lavery, also played a vital role in the rescue efforts. On September 10th, 1934, they were honored with the Order of Lenin for their contributions to saving the Chelyuskinci. The Soviet Union viewed the expedition as a significant success because it proved that a regular steamship could complete the entire northern sea route in just 1 navigation season. After conducting several more trial voyages in 1933 and 1934, the route was officially opened and commercial shipping along this vital passage began in 1935. Several attempts have been made over the years to locate the Chelyuskin, though none were initially successful. In September 2006, an expedition led by Oleg Kozhemyako, then governor of the Koryak Autonomous Region, and Alexei Mikhailov director of the Russian Underwater Museum, set out aboard the trawler Rogachevo to search the ship's last known location. After several hours of searching, Alexei Mikhailov, Alexander Fedoseev, and Alexei Koshelev discovered an object on the 13th pass. Once it was confirmed that the object was indeed the Chelyuskin, diving operations began immediately. The team conducted detailed surveys and searches for several hours in cold waters, temperatures reaching as low as -1 degrees Celsius at depths of up to 49 meters. The Chelyuskin lay buried beneath a 3-meter layer of silt, with the wreck rising about 13 meters above the seabed. Visibility at a depth of 35 meters was extremely limited, only around 20 centimeters. Despite the challenging conditions, specialists managed to carefully recover 2 fragments from the boat deck, a section of guardrail with rings, and a bracket and a ventilation grill. These recovered fragments, along with metal samples, were sent to Burmeister and Wain shipyard in Copenhagen, the very place where the ship was originally built. According to Josef Rabinovich, the expedition's scientific secretary, Danish experts confirmed that the fragments were indeed from the Chelyuskin. Today, it is widely accepted that the Chelyuskin's hull lies on the seabed of the Bering Sea, just northwest of Cape Desnev. The nearest settlement to the site of the wreck is the village of Vankarem, situated approximately 135 kilometers southwest. Thank you all for joining me on this incredible journey through the story of the SS Chelyuskin, a tale of courage, resilience, and human spirit amidst the harshest Arctic conditions. This expedition wasn't just about a ship trapped in ice. It was about pushing the boundaries of exploration, testing human endurance, and proving that even in the face of seemingly impossible odds, hope and determination can lead to extraordinary feats.
And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.